Hey guys, Coldbrew here. Welcome back to another video. The event dungeon is back with a twist. Okay, we'll have the chance again to revisit this dungeon here, which says coming soon. If you guys are brand new to the game, don't know that, then yeah, that dungeon is coming back with the pinpoint set. The pinpoint set that you can farm that helps a ton for PvP. If you're somebody who is stuck in the loop of getting stunned or sheeped in PvP, pinpoint set is going to help you out with that. And all I have to say is probably going to be a much more challenging thing to do since last time. Why? There will be a mythical champion in the mix in terms of the enemy that you'll be facing, and the mythical champion will probably also be added into the game alongside other champions, is what I'm guessing. And Plarium has given us some information on how it's going to work, but basically it's just going to be the normal thing where you just go down the dungeon, you beat the boss on the final stage to have the highest chances. And alongside that, also there's going to be new relics, which I'll probably cover. I guess I can cover them today. We'll see though, because they haven't given us much information on the actual relics. They've given us how they look, but they haven't given us what they do. But it's going to be a new relic family just added into the game, plus a new event, which I'll call out at the end. They haven't given us information about that. It's just what exactly it is. They've hinted that over on Twitter, on X, and also on their other social media pages. But let's get started with the mythical champion, which will probably be added into the game for us to use exactly like Odin was. So here we go. Kurosa the Covetous. All right, Kurosa the Covetous is coming into the game, and on her base form, this is how it's going to look. So probably the event dungeon is going to start out with her being in her base form, where basically she receives 15% less damage for each alive ally. That is huge because you basically won't be able to kill her if she's got like 4 other champions alongside. That's 60% damage reduction that you'll have to go through in order to nuke her out. So very unlikely that you'll be able to use Newt to just cheese this one, or even Seer, maybe Seer at the start to kill everything else and then use Newt. I don't know, but it looks much more challenging than beforehand. But of course there will be strategies, I am guessing, by the time we do this, where we will be able to take her out. The thing is, they've added another thing here in the event dungeon, where it's gonna be more difficult to kill her, to kill these bosses with HP burns. So now HP burns will have a unique effect on bosses, where they'll take 1% of their health as damage instead of whatever that amount was before. So I believe it was 3%. With activations and all that, it does drop the boss down very quickly. So it is pretty interesting to have this as a way to stop those strategies, is what I'm guessing they want to do. So we'll see about that. Let's get started with her skills. So attacks only means AoE attack heals all allies. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's attack. Pretty cool. I'm guessing this will not do a lot of damage, especially on the base form. Removes all debuffs from allies, then places increased attack and a shield. The value of the shield is proportional to this champion's attack. So this is actually interesting because it's a cleanse, then it's an increased attack plus a shield, and the shield is proportional to attack. So you'll be building her with attack as a support that will benefit this form. So the healing will benefit the base form, the healing will benefit the second skill, okay? And then the running rampart skill, which is her A3, places a taunt and fortify on this champion for 2 turns. Also places an unkillable buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So what is Fortify? Guys, Fortify is a new buff which reduces any enemy ignore defense effects by 15 or 25%. So it's basically, guys, what our beloved Harima has as a passive, but it's a 15 to 25%. So it's not 50%, but it reduces ignore defense by that, and it's a buff. So this is brand new, and it will benefit you a ton if you do manage to get it. But in terms of this being a challenge for us, then yeah, we'll have to actually beat this boss when it does have the 45 buff on themselves. So it's gonna be interesting on how difficult this is gonna be. But lots of buffs here: taunt, fortify, and killable, increased attack, shield. It does scream the use of a seer at the start to kill off all the enemies without having tested it at all. So that can be a possible strategy to kill off the whole squad against you and then use nukers to take her out. The thing is, instantly transforms this champion into the alternate form whenever the last living ally is killed. So let's say on the first wave of what you're going to be attacking for, you're going to have to use a seer, okay? She will instantly transform from this form to the next. So what's next? What is our next move after that? So she'll change into this form. Looks very similar to Lydia, actually. If you think about it, look at the wings. Very similar to Lydia, but she's a demon spawn. So alternate form of Kurosa. She will have now a different passive. So deals 15% more damage for each dead ally. Each critical hit boosts this champion's turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. So this is much more different in terms of thinking here as a part of your team. So just doing 15% more damage for each dead ally does nothing in most situations. Let's say you're using it for Chimera. It's not going to help you, really. So this is very specific for the event dungeon, if you think about it, because she will have allies that will be dead. She'll be doing, let's say, 60% more damage, which is insane. So what is she going to do? Attacks one enemy 3 times. If this attack kills an enemy, deals pure damage to all other enemies. So pure damage, guys, is ignoring defense. If the other enemies are not bosses or minions, the amount of pure damage dealt is equal to 30% of their initial target's max HP. If the other enemies are not bosses, so it's pure damage, 30% of the initial target's max HP. If the other enemies are bosses or minions, the pure damage dealt is equal to 10% of their max HP. Instead, this attack cannot be critical. So this is very specific. It cannot be a critical damaging attack, but it will do damage, good damage to other enemies. The thing is, it is damage dealt on other enemies that will be this specific enemy max health skill. So it's not like that you can use this on bosses. So even if it's a triple hitting attack, it's not gonna be a triple hitting enemy max health skill. So Icon of Havoc, or A2, the second form A2, attacks all enemies before attacking, steals all buffs from all enemies. Okay. Targets whose attack is lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Also places a 25% weakened debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. So if you build it with high attack, let's say 7,000 attack, you will be doing an unresistible weaken on enemies. That is pretty cool. Plus a steal of buffs. I love the fact that you can steal the buffs. Protection sets are going to be good against her, I'm guessing. So places a 15% shatter buff and a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns. Places a true fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. And targets whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. So the true fear will be basically unresistible. She'll get an extra 10. Shatter buff is basically boosting her own ignore defense. So it's like having an ignore defense set of 15%. That's cool. And basically that's it. So it will be a sense of using, I'm guessing, Seer at the start to kill off all the enemies. She'll have to switch the form, and then you'll be able to take her out, because you won't be able to take her out with this form with 60% damage. 60% damage, receiving less damage is a lot. Also, if she's got like an unkillable buff on her, very annoying. Although no, it's actually on all other enemies, so actually you can try and kill her, but she'll have Fortify also on her. I'm guessing it's gonna be Seer at the start, and then using Newt to completely cheese it. If not, it's just gonna be Seer and then using other champions with enemy max health to actually take her out. I don't think they want to make the event dungeon too difficult. They want to make it challenging, but not too extremely difficult for everybody to farm the pinpoint set as they've done in the past. So there weren't any crazy teams required in the past to actually beat it, but to completely farm it and farm it quickly, you did need very unique champions and quite good gear to farm it quickly. I'm talking like 10-second, 15, 20-second teams. All right, anything slower than that is not the extreme champions you would normally see. But hopefully, guys, this will be a new challenge. This will be a brand new mythical added into the game. And then to close it off, guys, I want to show you what they've actually shown us, which is going to be the new coalition event coming in, which will be, let me see if I can show you. It will be basically a collaboration type of event in which collective efforts of all players necessary to reach a shared goal. So I'm guessing beating a specific dungeon with specific champions, because they did hint with this one, they hinted a few factions that will be going with this collaborative event. So think about it like that. You'll be using specific factions maybe to beat a dungeon, and the more of that dungeon you beat, the more of this collaboration effect is going to happen, and it's going to fill up a bar, I'm guessing, which will have unique rewards. Very similar to other things they've done in the past. Nothing too crazy, honestly, but I'm ready. I'm ready to get surprised and be happy about that. That's all, guys, for today. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.